I'm always looking for ways that I can add more interest to my photography. So a couple days ago, I tried out a bokeh panorama, and I figured I'd make a video and show how that you can make one too. The bokeh panorama was made famous a couple of years ago by a wedding photographer by the name of Ryan Brenizer. He invented this technique that he called the Brenizer Method. The idea was to take a fast telephoto lens, like an 85-1.2 for example, to create a shallow depth of field and combine that with an ultra wide angle like a 14mm, so that you would have a shallow depth of field but a very wide angle of view. To get this, you would take a series of photos in a row and then stitch them together later in Photoshop or some other editing program, much like you would a panorama. First thing you want to do is lock your focus in on your subject. Switch your lens to manual focus, unless it's a manual focusing lens, and then, well, there you go. Then you want to make sure you're shooting in manual mode. Set your aperture to something faster, something more wide open. That's the smaller the number, the faster it is. So generally you want to have something around 2.8 or lower. You could go anywhere as high as like 4, but the smaller the number, the shallower the depth of field, the greater the effect in post. If you're not shooting an inanimate object, like for example a human or an animal, you want to make sure you have your shutter speed set to something fast enough so you can freeze any little bit of motion, because you're going to be moving your camera around, and it's going to take a couple of seconds before you can actually get all of the shots, depending on how many shots you need. So I would suggest something maybe like 1/100 of a second or faster. It really all depends on your situation. And then once you have your aperture and shutter speed set to get the proper exposure, make sure you adjust the ISO accordingly. So when you go to actually shoot your images, you're going to want to start with the subject, since they're more likely to stay still closer to the beginning before they start getting restless. And then from there you want to go outwards in a pattern. For this particular image, it's a square composition, so you would go outward in a square pattern. The pattern you can change depending on how you want your composition to look, of course, so make sure you have an idea of how you want it to look before you start taking your photos. Also, make sure you have some overlap within each photo that you take, just in case you accidentally miss a vital part of the photo. And now that we've done that, let's take those photos into Photoshop and I'll show you how to stitch them all together. Alright, now that we've came home from shooting and we have all the photos we'd like to composite into a panorama, let's go ahead and edit them. I've already taken the liberty of editing every photo I wanted to, but I wanted to show you something in case you didn't know and you're using Camera Raw, or Lightroom for example does the same thing. Select the first one that you made all the edits on. If you select all of them, the one with the blue box here selected, and hit synchronize, that one will, all of the parameters and things that you have set up, all the edits you made from this photo will transfer over to these ones. You can just hit OK and they will synchronize all of the edits from everything across all the photos, so you don't have to actually manually edit every single one. Although I do go back within each of the photos and tweak a couple of them, you know, just to my liking. But now that we have all of them selected, we're going to go ahead and open them up into Photoshop. Alright, I went ahead and kind of skipped over the boring loading stuff. Nothing too exciting here, I promise, but everything has loaded into Photoshop. Now once all of the files are loaded, go over here to File, Automates, and then Photo Merge. Now alternatively, instead of opening all the files like I did, you could just go to Browse, and a window will pop up showing you, you know, any of your folders or wherever you have your any of the folders or where you have your photos taken. You could just select them there and they'll appear right in this. But since we already have them open, we'll just click Add Open Files. And all of the 18 images that I shot here are loaded into this. And I'm going to go ahead and keep it on auto. It usually does a pretty good job of figuring out the perspective shifts and how everything needs to blend together nicely. You could alternatively try messing with these, it all depends. Make sure blend images together is selected, and then we're going to go ahead and hit OK. But I'm going to go ahead and skip through the boring loading thing because it'll take a while and my computer's a bit slow, so I'll meet you on the other side. And ta-da! The photo has been stitched together. Now, if you don't like the way Photoshop has automatically stitched everything together, all the information is still here available in the layers. It's just masked off, so you can go ahead and mess around with everything. Now, I'm pretty happy with this, but you'll notice one thing, and there's a big gaping hole right here in the image. Yeah, I thought I took every single shot, but apparently I missed one. And this is why it's important to follow that pattern I described earlier. And even if you do follow the pattern, just if you think you missed something, just take an extra shot. It won't kill you. So, but other than that, I'm probably just going to go ahead and give it a square crop here in the middle and cut off this tree part here entirely. But yeah, it's pretty much done. I just want to go in and do some final minor adjustments, maybe touch up some skin, although I don't really know if I really need to since she's so far away. But this is basically the Bokeh Panorama here. And that's my tutorial for Bokeh Panorama. If you like the video, please, well, like the video. And if you'd like to see any more, go ahead and click subscribe. I have other tutorials and reviews and things like this tutorial here on focus stacking. I'm also on a bunch of social media websites like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You can find the links to those in the description below. And also, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about the video, or if you have any other tips and tricks on random things associated with the Bokeh Panorama. Or if you just want to tell me how your day went, you know, I don't mind. That's cool too. But I will see you in the next video. Take care.